Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger and I'm an artist and a sculptor, and today I am going to show you how to make a dragon resting on a fairy door. We're working with polymer clay here. Most of you know, if you've seen my videos in the past when I'm working with polymer clay, I work with black clay, and the reason why is because my finishes, when they're put on it, really pop. So that's why I do that. You can use whatever kind of clay you want. I recommend the Sculpting 3 polymer clay, because it's really, you can really sculpt with it. You can make things with it. There's other Sculpting products that are not near as good for sculpting, I would say. That's why I kind of want to stress Sculpting 3 is what you want. Okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to, I want to say, first of all, I want to cover a few things that you need to have. You need something flat to work on. This is an old license plate. You need a couple tools. You might need a couple sculpting tools. These are wood clay sculpting tools. And I actually only have two that I use. That are actual sculpting tools. And a paintbrush might come in handy. Actually, mostly for this end, not this end. Okay? And I'll put a list of things that you'll need on the video. Now, we're going to have some blocks, because we're going to build a door frame for the dragon to sit on. So what I do is I take a little bit of polymer clay, and first of all, before you start to use it, you should knead it. They call it conditioning, to get all the different ingredients working properly inside, when it's mixed up. So you have to knead it. So make sure you do that. And then you want to roll it into a ball. Okay, maybe about that size. And what you want to do is set that ball aside and then roll another one the same size. Okay, now remember, these are the blocks for the frame of the door that we're working on right now. If you just roll the balls and set them aside to beside each other, they should be all about the same size. And if you do that, then we can make a block, and I'll show you how to make a block. From the ball, after you've rolled several balls for the frame of the door, you want to hold it like this, the ball, and squeeze it. And what that does is it makes it the shape of a stone block that we'll use to build the frame, like that. And now I've already made several blocks, and so we're going to just start putting it together. But before we start, I'm going to show you again. We're going to take a ball of clay, several balls all the same size. We'll squeeze it between our fingers like that to create the stone block as a part of the door frame. And that is how you make it. So now we'll go ahead and start laying it on our board, our flat board, our old license plate. You can use a clipboard, you can use a plate, you can use any number of things. Okay, so now when we get one side done and we've got this is the last block at the peak, what we can do is just squeeze it and to create an angle that the other block will meet. See, just like that. You don't have to cut it. It'd be best if you didn't cut it, and the reason why is because we're doing it this way, building blocks like this, is because then they really look like blocks. So what we'll do is take another block here, and we'll just squeeze it slightly like that, so it's got that same angle, and put it in place. Just press it together. We've got more blocks here, over here. Hopefully you got blocks. We're building away. We want it to be symmetrical. Keep that in mind. If a block is bigger than it should be, it won't have the even amount or even size on the other side. So we want to definitely pay attention to that. This would probably be better with a bigger block here. Okay, and we're coming around. We got a nice size block for this one, I think. Just press them together. I'm going to show you how we're going to strengthen this. We're going to make this a lot stronger here in a little bit. And I'm going to show you how. Okay. And then we need some blocks to go across the bottom. I'm just going to butt it up against. And then another here. I'm not going to lay that one in yet. I want to make sure that whatever I choose for blocks, that we end up with the right size, and you know, everything's symmetrical and aesthetically pleasing. So now it's coming around, okay, like that. Okay, so that's the beginning of the door frame. Now what we're going to do is, right now we're going to take some clay and fill in a door itself. We're going to sculpt in a door. And the way to do that is just take little bits of clay and lay it in there. Press it down. Like that. I'm using, you know, some of the blocks that I didn't use actually. Right, filling it in, and that by itself is going to strengthen the door a whole lot. And I do want that to be about the same thickness all the way around. So just try. This license plate probably wasn't a great idea because it's a little bit flimsy. So for your own reference, license plates may not work so great unless you support it in the back. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my sculpting tools that I showed you earlier, and I'm just going to kind of flush the door part of the sculpture to the blocks, which will strengthen the whole piece here. I'm just going to press it in and blend it together. You'll hear me in the different videos I do saying blending a lot. You'll probably hear me say that a lot because I do a lot of blending. Okay, and let's keep that going. And then you'll want to smooth the door down, you know, quite a bit, but not completely, because it's a door. It's going to be an old wood door with lots of texture, so don't worry about making it completely pristine. I wouldn't worry about that so much. This is it's going to be a sweet piece. If you're new to polymer clay or just sculpting in general, you might find that you know, it's going to take you a little bit of getting used to do it. But if you just practice, you'll definitely get it. It doesn't take any practicing. But if you really like things like this, which I do. I just like to make them. I don't just make them to make my videos, but I make things like this all the time because I like to do it. It's really fun. It's a great pastime. Very healthy too, to have a creative outlet. Okay, I'm just gonna cut in the bottom a little bit better here. Okay, now I'm going to take this other tool. It's a little sharper. It's just a little bit sharper here. And I'm going to create planks, the door planks. And the way I do that basically is I'm going to start at the center. So everything continues to be fairly symmetrical. I'm just going to make a straight line going down to the bottom. Like that. It's got a slight curve to it, but I'm not too worried about that. Okay, I'm going to make another one here. It's best to, to get the before you put on the dragon, because you'll see the dragon is going to be like really sculpted into the door or on the door. But I'm trying to work him in so that he's just chilling up there. That's kind of the idea. So I want to have the door pretty much done. Now I may obscure some of the door. Whoops. I may obscure some of the door, but then I can just carve it back out. There we go. And we got another one here. A little bit closer. And there. And then maybe one more along the edge here, just to define it. So that is the beginning of the wood plank door. You can smooth and blend and if you have to, and just get it the way you want it. I like them rough because with the finishes I do, and I'm going to show you. We're going to do the finish on this. I'm going to show you what to get, and when you buy your supplies, so that you'll know what to get and know how to do it. It's really actually very nice. You also can hand paint the door or just leave it whatever color it is or whatever. But you can do it any way you like it. I like these finishes that I do a lot. I like them a lot. Okay, now we're going to do a couple, I think just some fairly simple hinges. So I start off with a little ball of clay, like that. I roll it into a oblong shape, like that. And you can, of course, make more ornate hinges if you want when you do yours. But I'm just going to put one here. Lay it on there and press it into place. And then I'm going to do another one about the same size. Sometimes it's easy just to remember whenever you're rolling more than one of something, you're making more than one of something and you want them to be the same size, it's best if you roll 2 balls of clay to start off with, and then you'll be more likely to be able to make them the same size. Now I'm able to do it sometimes I miss, but I'm frequently able to do it. But keep in mind, I'm sculpting all the time. This is a very big part of my life, is creating, sculpting, and now you can beef up these hinges a little bit if you want to add a nut, a screw or a nut, whatever like that. Just put it on there This is going to look really great finished, by the way. I usually do hinges and you know, different elements of a door. I usually do them in pewter or silver color, and they really, and it's done, but I do it with a really nice rustic kind of hint, and it's pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and just sculpt this in a little bit here so it looks like it's part of the door frame. Now I'm going to show you how to make a door ring. Start off with a ball of clay. Roll it into a noodle. I'm rolling it between my fingers. You might find it easier to roll it between the palms of your hand like this. Okay. And then once you also can get it more uniform if you lay it in the palm of your hand like that and roll it with just your finger back and forth, applying just a little bit of pressure. We can get it more uniform. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is just snip off the pointed parts, the parts that are you know, where it goes too skinny. It gets too skinny down there. We don't want that, so we're going to clip that away. And then what you can do, I did this in one of my other videos. It was really tiny. I'm not sure which one it was, but I put a door ring that was far smaller than the one we're doing here, and I did it on another video. Now what I do is I put it, I'm sorry, I want to make sure you saw that. I put it around the brush handle like this. Okay? And then I blend the two parts together, so you see that. Sometimes I go up off screen. I don't mean to do that. I appreciate your patience. I'm really trying to be very aware of that and not having problems with that. It does happen from time to time though. Okay, so now we got the ring, and I'm going to put it here, right about there, and then I can make sure at this point that it's round by just applying a little bit of pressure. It's a little misshapen at the top, but I'm going to show you something that will make it look a lot better, and it's kind of part of the door ring, and that is to take a piece of clay like this and roll a oblong shape like this. Put that one down in the middle of the ring like that. See? And then fold it back over into the top here. And then it looks like the ring is on a bracket. Then you can take like a really small paintbrush like this, and you can just apply a little pressure down in there so it's seated well and not coming out. And that's how you make a door ring. This is coming along. We're pretty much done with the door now. We're going to start the dragon. Okay. So what we're going to do is we need to get a nice piece of clay, maybe about this big. If it has any junk on it, by the way, you can just dig the junk off of it if that ever happens to you. You just cut it out, pull it away, or that sort of thing. So we get a piece of clay about this size right here. I'm going to move this over a little bit, get out of my way. So I want to show you how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to knead it a little bit just to make sure, because I kneaded all this clay earlier, but I just want to make sure it's definitely, you know, warm and nice and everything. And I'm going to start with a ball. Part of the reason why I start with the ball is because if you roll a piece of clay between your hands like this, it also takes away all the imperfections that are on the clay. And you're starting off with a nice smooth figure, basically, when you get the figure made. So we're going to make the figure now. to make the figure, I want to work from one piece of clay for the main part of the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll at an angle here, creating kind of an egg shape. And then I'm going to continue to roll that, and the neck of the dragon is going to appear. And then I'm going to continue to roll it, and we're getting there. Just want it to be uniform, and I want to get a little bit longer. Like that. So that is going to be the neck and head, and I'll show you how we do that later. Let's go ahead and keep going here. We're going to roll the tail now. Just keep rolling it the same way, and I'll show you what I got here. We want a little bit of a heavy area in here for the wings and the main part of the body. We don't want this to be much slimmer than that. So go easy when you're rolling now on that end piece. Okay? Now we can add a little bit of clay to the tail if we want to, and we might very well do that. But right now we've got the start of the dragon. And again, we want it to be uniform, so just keep that in mind. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this on top of the door, and I think a nice position for this would be right about here. I'm pushing it in a little bit at the top, but I'm not squishing it and making a mess. And then I'm going to bring down the neck. And I want to talk about form right now. I mean, if you're making something like this, you don't want straight angles or corner angles, or you want everything to be smooth and flowing. So if you can see this now, I am doing just that. I'm making it smooth and flowing, and bring it down and to the door like that. Okay, so we're going to, now we've got the tail laid down here. I didn't press it down in because I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more clay to it. I want the tail to be a little bit more sweeping. So I'm rolling a ball of clay again, rolling a oblong shape. It could be a little bit longer than what I need, but basically I just want to get it started. And I'll lay it on top of the existing tail part, tail end. And just try to blend it in. Okay, and we can smooth that out a little bit later, and we're going to add scales too as well. And then I'm going to bring it back up like this, and then down onto the brick like this. Maybe like that. I think I'm going to terminate it there and just lay it on there like that. And then I'm going to take a few minutes, and I'm going to just try to smooth this a little bit and make it uniform as much as possible. And see, it's laying right on the door and on the hinge here. I'm just gonna. You can play with it. You know, you can if you don't press it in and get it all stuck to the rest of the door and all that, you can play with it and make it, you know, the way you like. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more clay for the head of the dragon. Just going to roll a little noodle or ball shape. I just want that head coming back down further in to the door frame like that. A lot of this comes with time and patience and experience, and paying attention to what other artists do, and looking at other art and looking at other videos, and you start to get a knack for it. You will get a knack for it. You most definitely will. Okay. We've got that to a fairly good place right now. Now we're going to make the head of the dragon. This is really not that hard. You're going to see. At least if you practice a little bit, you'll find out. It's really not so bad. I like my dragons to be fairly friendly. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm just going to put a little nose hole right there. And then I'm going to create a little eye for the dragon right there by pressing that in. And then, I'm not doing a lot of sculpting on the face. I don't really feel like I need to for something this small. I roll a little ball and I put it in the eye socket that I just made. Now I'm going to take a sharp tool like this, and I'm just going to create a little line on the eyeball so it looks like a dragon's eye. Oops. Okay. And then I'm going to create a little eyebrow, or the top of the eye there, by rolling a little noodle that's pointed on both ends. See, like this. Like that. And I'm just going to lay it on there. And blend it in. I can blend it in with a tool in my fingers. The way you put on an eyelid like that, or whatever you want to call it, eyebrow, if you play with that, if you want it to be mean, you can make it mean. If you want it to be friendly, you can make it friendly just by playing with the eyebrow. Okay. He's like in between. He's not like really friendly at this point. That's not bad. He looks serious. He looks serious. He's guarding the door. Okay. I'm gonna put on an ear. Just by rolling a shape like this. And I'm going to put it right there. There we go. So that's the start, and then we can put in a little hole with the paintbrush again, the little paintbrush, for his ear hole. And we'll leave them there for now. I mean, we might do some stuff later with them, but that's where I'm going to leave them for now. Okay. So now we need to start adding scales, but before we do, I want to add a back leg. So I roll a piece of clay like that. You can see it's thicker on this end and thinner on this end. I bend it like this. This is going to be the back leg. Okay, and then I lay it here, and then there like that, and I can blend that in a little bit, and then just sculpt down of the beginning of a foot right here. And then you can lay on toes. It's really not too hard to do. We're working very small here. Obviously, I do a lot of miniature work, so I have experience with it. You might find it's a little bit more difficult. You might find that a pair of tweezers helps. And this is definitely miniature work here, no doubt about it. Especially the toes and some of the things, the elements of the dragon. Okay. Oops. Let's see. Let's move that over a little bit. And then you can blend those in, you know, with a tool would be better than your fingers probably. Okay, next up is going to be the front leg, and that's a little bit different. It's just basically an arm that comes out of the body. You can put it right there. Blend it into the body, and then you can take polymer clay. Has a little bit of a sticky texture or whatever to it, but what you can do is to put these toes on, take advantage of that sticky and stick it on the end of a brush here like this, and then lay it on like that. That will go a lot easier for you maybe than trying to do it with your big fingers. I'm going to put one for the far end right there. You can like set it down there with your finger, but it'll be easier to place it. Alright. Okay, and next we're going to make a the point of the tail, the spade, the spear. It's called different things, and I'm actually not even really sure of the proper pronunciation or name of it, but it's the very end of the tail, so we want to make that now. So basically what I'm doing is rolling. I start with always rolling a ball. This is, by the way, not the only way to sculpt. This is the way to sculpt for beginners usually. It's very good. I use it for a lot of reasons, and definitely for teaching. But it's, I mean, there's a lot of ways to sculpt, and a lot of mediums you can work in, and all sorts of things. But this is usually the way I teach. Now, so I started with the ball, like that, and I flatten it a little bit, and bring it to a point, like that, and then flatten the other end, and then bring this down to a little bit of a point, and bring this down, to a little bit of a point, and then press it, try to flatten it a little bit so it's not too thick, and then place it at the tip of the tail where it feels good to you, okay? Because, you know, definitely feelings come into play here, and your first choice may not be great, but when you found an area that you like it, you're happy with it, you can press it into place like that. Okay, now we're going to do the scales, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to show you how I do the scales. I'm going to start the tail, and then I'm going to speed up the film because it takes a while, okay? And I'm going to speed up the film so you can still see it, but it will be fast. So pay attention here if you wouldn't mind. What we do is we start off with a little ball like this. We roll it into a noodle with a point. So it's kind of like that. And then we lay it on top of the tail like that, and press it and just blend it in. Okay. With this, you know, it's nice if the scales are fairly uniform and about the same size and all that, but you know, it would be mind-boggling for someone to look at this and see all the detail. So if you're worried about that, I mean, more than likely, if you can get through most of the tasks that we've done so far, it's going to look really good. You're going to come up with a nice dragon, alright? And if not, then I recommend some practice and do it again and do some other subjects. Don't feel like you have to do the dragon over and over again, because you don't, and you can just do something else, but you're still going to get the skill with practice. There we go. Now I'm going to speed up and finish up the scales. Okay, so now I've got the scales on. You can see how that was done pretty easily, I think. And now the last thing I want to do is the wing. So I'm going to roll a ball, start with a ball about this big. Then I'm going to roll it. You see me do this a lot, where I roll it cone shaped or that sort of thing. I'm going to roll it cone shaped, try to make it fairly uniform. Roll it cone shaped like that. Okay, I'm going to try to get a little bit more on that end there, because the wing can become a part of the whole coolness of this piece as well. So and it should, because it's a wing, and wings are really awesome. So we're only doing one wing because obviously this is a one-sided sculpture. This will be a fairy door that you can actually use. It will be a wonderful portal for the good fairies. And so I'm just squeezing it now, kind of flattening it a little bit. I'm going to bring it a little bit thinner here so it's like that. See how it's thicker up here and thinner down here? And just make sure it's fairly uniform. And then I'm going to apply it to the body of the dragon. And I'm just going to bring this back around like that. Just press it down a little bit. And then I can take a sculpting tool and blend that in. There. And then, let me show you, I'm going to put scales on this as well, on the wing end of the wing edge. And I'm probably going to speed up the film again because this video is already like very long because we did a lot. So, and I'm just putting it along the edge. One thing I want to let you notice, if you could notice, the ends of the scales, you can move them to go in a nice flowing direction, like these are already doing here on this one. There we go. Okay, I'm going to speed it up now. We're back, and you know, just for you know, a couple finishing touches, we're getting there. We're pretty much almost done with this. You can stipple it. You know, you can create textures, you know, that actually appear to be like scales or just the skin. You can do that with the back of a paintbrush. But it's an option. I just wanted to show it to you. And just go down and, you know, cover the basic body or torso area, whatever you like. But I wanted to show you that just by gently pushing into the clay and that sort of thing. Okay, now is a good time to go over your sculpture, look at it really closely, and just make sure any details when you were putting on the dragon are not obscured or erased. You know, if there's any scratches or mars or fingerprints or anything that you want to get rid of, you can do that now before we put the finish on. The other thing is you can use a small paintbrush and alcohol to smooth away imperfections that you don't want. And okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and start the finish. And the product that I'm using is called Pearl X Pigments, and they have a whole wide range of colors. Most of them are fairly metallic, but if you didn't want to do a metallic finish like what I'm going to show you how to do here, you can also use pastels. You can buy pastels and you can shave off with a razor blade or a knife a powder from the pastels, and you can use them to color your piece. So I recommend putting whatever finish you're going to put on before you bake the clay. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this. This is actually silver here. It's a powder, and I'm going to use a paintbrush. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip the paintbrush in the powder, kind of tap it off there like that. And then I'm going to tap it off on the table as well, to just get all that excess off, because I don't want it just going everywhere. Okay, so there, and then I'm just going to put it on here, and so that's for the ring and for the hinges over here. Let's get a little bit more. I can get it from the table like that. There we go. Now I oftentimes use this bronze color or gold, so we'll use this. It's best if you can to put it on with your finger, because it just looks better. So what you do is you dip your finger into it like that, and then you take your thumb and just swirl it for, just for maybe once or twice. And then just lightly go over, let's say, the brick. We're going to do the brick in the bronze. And then, I'll maybe touch that up with a brush for whatever areas I can't reach. But it just looks better. And what I'm trying to achieve here is definitely an antique-y look. I'm not trying to make it all bright, although you could, that's really up to you. Alright. And then I can take a paintbrush. Now remember, it's about the same way for all of them. You dip it in a little bit, you maybe tap it off, and then dab it on the table, or here, you can dab it here, and just touch it up where you couldn't reach with your finger. This is a very deep aged look. It's really nice. It's really nice when you see it. But it's not for everyone. So if it's not for you, then don't use it. I'm also going to use purple. I usually do my dragons in either blue or purple. I like green. I just don't like them on my dragons too much, and so I don't usually do dragons in green. In between colors, you can wipe your brush on a cloth or something to get the extra color off there, and then you remember to dip it and dab it, get the excess off. And now I'm just going to do the dragon. I'm trying not to like put it on really heavy. Although sometimes I do, and it looks great. So it just depends how you're feeling and what you're into. I'm avoiding the eye because I want to do the eye in bronze. I'm going to do the scales in bronze too. Whoops, I messed up. I hit the eye. Oh well. It'll still work. I am trying to avoid the scales for sure, because I want to do them in bronze. These colors will certainly look better in person if you see them in person. Okay, I also want to do the door in bronze, and I missed one of the blocks up here. So let me get some bronze or gold. Gold is the same thing. I've just been calling it bronze for so long that I'm just used to calling it that. Okay. Go around the toes. They'll stand out better if you do the bronze beneath them. and I want to do the door in bronze as well. Okay, looking good. I'm keeping it fairly subdued because I want that deep aged look. Okay, now I'm going to take the bronze and I'm going to put it on my finger like I showed you before, like that, and then I'm going to spin my thumb on it like that, and then I'm just going to highlight the scales. And it looks really cool, I think. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of bronze and I'm going to try to do that eye. That. And there we are. Now I just want to talk about cooking it first, and before we do that, the clay on this is going to be, if it's stuck to the surface that you're working on, you're definitely going to want to release it from the surface and handle it extremely carefully. And the reason why is because it needs a little bit of work on the back. So what I recommend doing is releasing it. I'm going to show you how to do that. You can use a wire. Sculpting tools often come with a wire, or you can for releasing clay. So you can get it there. This is just craft wire I use for wrapping stones when I do that. I hold it to the surface and slowly draw it down. Now I did this a few minutes ago, so it doesn't really need it, but you can see it just goes down and it releases the clay, oops, from the surface it's on. So this wire is much thicker than you will need, that's for sure. Okay, so once your sculpture is released from whatever, it may not even stick to it. And you can also sculpt on paper, but I had a different situation than you probably have, and that's that I had to work on an angle so that the camera could see what I'm doing. I mean, to record what I'm doing. So that's why I wouldn't have otherwise. I would have worked on a flat surface, and I would have used a piece of paper in between so it wouldn't stick. But if you did that, that's what I want you to do, is use a wire, or you can even use a tough string, a small string, something that's durable. So whatever you want, or whatever you use, definitely make sure it's released from there. When you get ready to cook the clay, you want to bake it in a household oven at 275 degrees in a preheated oven. Definitely want to preheat it for 15 minutes per quarter-inch of mass of clay. Now this, how I would decide what to do with as far as that goes, is I would look for the thickest portion, and if it was an inch thick, if that thickest portion was an inch thick, I would cook it for an hour. If the thickest portion was a half inch thick, I would cook it for half an hour. So that tells you, that basically tells you how you want to cook it. Any smooth surface will work, but a plate without any kind of texture on it would be good. Ceramic plate or something like that. Okay, so once you've cooked or baked your Dragon Fairy door, and you let it cool, you take it out of the oven, you let it cool, I want you to turn it around very gently, and all these little crevices and cracks in here, all the way around, if you take some really well kneaded clay, you can just, if you knead it like a little longer than usual, that clay will be really soft and very easy to fill all these joints, and it will strengthen the door. So and that is how you make a Dragon Fairy door. A couple things, if you like this kind of content, I do a lot of videos like this. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like the video, or at least rate it, and also comment or ask any questions in the comment section of the video. And I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate your support. Thank you very much, and have a great day.